Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story. Today, we're diving into a story about humanity's unexpected return to the galaxy, a species once thought lost to time, now armed with technologies far beyond what any other civilization can imagine. This story is not only about survival, but also about an alliance forged between humanity and the Galactic Confederation to face a massive threat known as the Void Dominion. The vast, infinite expanse of space stretches out before the flagship Eternal Dawn, a massive vessel that cuts through the dark like a silent predator. Its sleek, metallic hull gleams in the dim light of distant stars, reflecting the quiet emptiness around it. The ship is colossal, shaped with sharp, angular lines, its edges designed to cut through space with precision. It hovers in the void, its engines humming with a low, rhythmic pulse, as though the ship itself is breathing in the vast silence of the universe. Admiral Zach Vor, commander of the Eternal Dawn, stands alone in the bridge's observation deck, gazing out into the eternal black. His four eyes, unique to his species, the three blink in sequence, one by one, scanning the swirling nebulae, the distant stars, and the slow-motion dance of cosmic bodies. There is a certain calmness in his posture, an aura of control and patience. He has always preferred the silence of space. For weeks, the border patrol has been uneventful, a perfect scenario for the Admiral, whose tactical mind thrives in calm. This is how space should be, he thinks to himself, the tranquility of the cosmos offering a perfect backdrop for his thoughts. The stillness has a quality that almost seems unnatural, as if the universe itself is holding its breath. Admiral Vor, this is how space should be. Silent, untouched. His voice is calm, but there is a sense of almost reverential respect in his words, as if acknowledging the grandeur and mystery of the universe. A deep silence follows his declaration. Suddenly, a soft, almost imperceptible hum resonates throughout the bridge, breaking the tranquility. The ambient lighting flickers, and the air shifts slightly, carrying an unusual charge, as if something or someone has disturbed the delicate balance of this quiet moment. Lieutenant Maya, the Aquarian officer, appears at the Admiral's side. Her presence is fluid, almost ethereal. Her translucent skin shimmers in the dim light, reflecting subtle hues of light blue and silver. The bioluminescence of her body catches the soft glow of the bridge's lights, casting ripples of color across her delicate features. Her gills flutter nervously, sending ripples through the water-like membrane around her throat. The atmosphere on the bridge tightens as she steps forward, her voice breaking through the deep silence with a gentle yet urgent tone. Lieutenant Maya, Admiral, incoming transmission from Central Command. Her voice carries an unusual weight, laced with an unspoken urgency. The Admiral's expression remains composed, but a flicker of interest crosses his features. The calm of the last few weeks has been shattered, but the source of this disturbance remains unclear. Without a word, Admiral Vor turns toward the command console, his four eyes narrowing slightly as he prepares himself for whatever comes next. The bridge crew, who have been watching the stars in silence, now shift their focus to their consoles, the lights dimming as the transmission is routed through. A soft hum rises from the main console as the holographic display flickers to life. A faint pulse of energy fills the air, and the image of High Chancellor Horus materializes in the shimmering blue light. The Chancellor's crystalline features are set in a grim, almost mournful expression, his translucent skin glistening in the pale glow of the projection. The image is distorted slightly, as if the transmission itself is struggling to stabilize, causing the Chancellor's figure to shift in and out of focus. The holographic display on the bridge flickers to life, casting a cool, ethereal glow across the room. The surrounding consoles hum softly as the ship's systems work to stabilize the transmission. A series of soft, glowing lines appear in the air, slowly coalescing into a three-dimensional image. The figure that materializes is High Chancellor Horus, the leader of the Galactic Confederation. He appears almost otherworldly, his crystalline body refracting the light in dazzling patterns. His features are sharp, elegant, and almost translucent, his skin shimmering like the surface of a distant star. The long, jagged mandibles at his mouth click slightly as he speaks, the sound adding to the eerie ambience of the bridge. His eyes, large and multifaceted, hold a certain ancient wisdom, and yet today, they reveal a rare flicker of concern. Chancellor Horus, Admiral Vor, our deep space monitoring stations have detected an anomalous signal. It matches nothing in our database, but it bears similarities to old Earth technology. As the Chancellor's words ring through the bridge, there's a sudden shift in the atmosphere. The crew feels it, a subtle change, as though the weight of the universe itself has grown heavier. The stillness, which had prevailed moments before, now feels charged with an undercurrent of unease. Admiral Vor stands tall, his four eyes narrowing in disbelief. He has seen many strange things in his time patrolling the edges of the galaxy, but this is different. The mention of Earth, a name that has long been lost to history, shatters the silence like a stone dropping into water, sending ripples through the Admiral's thoughts. Admiral Vor, Earth technology? Impossible. Earth is long gone. His voice is low, carrying the weight of a species that believes it knows everything, that has charted and mapped the farthest reaches of space, only to find a fissure of doubt opening before them. The Three are ancient, proud, and accustomed to certainty. Yet now, the mention of Earth brings nothing but questions with no answers. A brief silence follows, and then, the Chancellor Horus pauses. His crystalline features darken slightly, a somber gravity settling over him. The tiny clicking sound of his mandibles grows louder, almost imperceptible at first, but growing in volume as he gathers his thoughts. It is a sound that hints at concern, something rare for a leader of his stature. Chancellor Horus, I want you to investigate. If this is indeed from humanity, proceed with caution. The words hang in the air like a heavy mist, settling into the hearts of everyone on the bridge. The sense of mystery deepens. Humanity, the ghost species, the forgotten race of legend, was thought to have vanished eons ago. Stories of their rise and fall were whispered around campfires, passed down in ancient texts, mere bedtime stories for children. But this transmission, this anomalous signal, now threatens to turn those myths into reality. Admiral Vor listens intently, his expression unreadable as the weight of the order sinks in. He feels a tightening in his chest, something between doubt and an unfamiliar sense of dread. His mind races through the ancient texts, recalling the fragmented legends about Earth, tales of a species that once ruled their world before their self-destruction. The stories had been discarded as mere fantasies long ago. Admiral Vor, to himself, his thoughts cold and distant, humans, just bedtime stories, legends of a species that destroyed itself. The words echo in his mind, but they do little to ease the rising tension. What if the myths were true? What if Earth's technology had survived, waiting to resurface? The bridge crew watches the Admiral carefully, sensing the shift in his demeanor. Lieutenant Maya, standing just to the side, feels her skin ripple in response to the growing unease, her gills fluttering in nervous anticipation. She exchanges a glance with Commander Bra, whose metallic exoskeleton gleams dully in the dim light of the bridge. The entire crew, from the seasoned officers to the younger cadets, feel it now, the presence of something ancient, something long forgotten, stirring once more in the shadows of space. 2 days have passed since the initial transmission, and the eternal dawn now drifts silently into the unclaimed territories, a vast, uncharted expanse of space that has long been left untouched by the Galactic Confederation. It is a place where few have ventured, a buffer zone between the known and the unknown, and its dark reaches remain a mystery. The stars here shine dimmer, and the deep, swirling nebulae cast an otherworldly glow over the emptiness. There is a stillness here, a sense that the very fabric of space holds its breath. The Eternal Dawn and its 3 support vessels glide through this region, their engines humming at a steady, almost imperceptible rhythm. As the ships cut through the dark, the crew begins to feel an uneasy shift in the atmosphere. The serenity of the unclaimed territories feels almost too perfect, as though something is watching, waiting. The usual hum of the ship's systems, so familiar and constant, seems to fade into the background, replaced by a subtle, almost imperceptible vibration in the air. The bridge is tense as the crew begins to scan the surrounding space with heightened alertness. The usual sounds of the crew at their stations, typing at consoles, adjusting dials, are now drowned by the humming tension in the air. The vastness of the space outside the windows feels endless, a darkness so deep that it seems to swallow everything within its reach. The stars appear as distant pinpricks of light, almost too far away to feel real. Lieutenant Maya, Admiral, we're detecting multiple objects ahead. Her voice cuts through the stillness like a blade, sharp and urgent. She turns to face the Admiral, her translucent skin flickering faintly under the low light of the bridge. The faint shimmer of her skin adds to the unsettling feeling in the air. Her gills flutter nervously, sending soft ripples through the translucent membranes around her neck. Admiral Vor, put it on screen. Without hesitation, the view screen activates. At first, all that can be seen is the black emptiness of space. But then, as if emerging from the void itself, dozens of massive ships appear. They emerge slowly, their sleek forms cutting through the darkness like shadows given substance. Their design is elegant yet predatory, their surfaces reflecting the sparse light in eerie, almost hypnotic patterns. Each ship seems to glide effortlessly through the vacuum, as though it was part of the very space around them. The vessels are unlike anything the Eternal Dawn or the Confederation has ever encountered. Their contours are sharp and fluid, with a smooth, obsidian-like finish. The edges of each ship twist in shapes that suggest both grace and danger, a blend of beauty and menace. There is a sense of quiet power about them, a reminder that these ships were designed not just for exploration, but for dominance. Their very presence fills the bridge with a quiet but undeniable tension, as if the crew knows, instinctively, that they are in the presence of something far beyond their understanding. Commander Bra, these are not Confederate vessels, nor from the French worlds. His deep voice rumbles across the bridge, and a slight growl escapes from his throat, the metallic sheen of his exoskeleton glinting in the dim light as he steps closer to the console. The commander, always calm under pressure, now appears uneasy. His sharp, insectoid features seem even more menacing in this strange and foreboding environment, and his massive size makes the mystery of these ships all the more intimidating. T, the science officer, a six-fingered Vidian with a smooth, scale-covered face, speaks next, his voice more clipped than usual. The tension in the air has caused his usually calm demeanor to falter slightly, and his fingers move swiftly over the controls, gathering data as the ship's signals flood his screen. His 6 fingers press against the console with a delicate yet deliberate precision. T, the energy readings are off the charts, Admiral. These vessels are powered by something far beyond our technology. The energy signatures are unrecognizable. The words hit the crew like a physical blow. The Vidian officer's pale green face pales even further as he processes the information. His 6 eyes blink rapidly, trying to make sense of the data, but his expression betrays his confusion. The readings are unlike anything he's ever encountered, a swirling mass of energy that seems to defy all known laws of physics. The screen flickers again, and the view zooms in on the ships. Their surfaces seem to shimmer and shift, as if they are not entirely material, their contours fluctuating between solid and ephemeral. There is a strange distortion around them, as though they exist partially outside of normal space-time. The view screen flickers once more, revealing a closer look at the ship's glowing hulls. The light they emit is an unsettling shade pale, ghostly, almost unnatural. As the vessels move, the very fabric of space around them seems to bend, rippling as if the space itself cannot fully contain them. Admiral Vor, full spectrum scan. I want to know everything about these vessels. His voice is steady, but there is a tremor beneath it, an unspoken wariness as he processes what he is seeing. This is no ordinary encounter. These ships are not just technologically advanced, they are something else entirely. There is a presence here that feels ancient, predatory, and it stirs something deep inside the Admiral. The Eternal Dawn drifts closer, its engines purring softly as it ventures into the unknown. The crew remains silent, watching as the mysterious ships continue to drift in front of them, their forms moving like shadows across the stars. The silence on the bridge is suffocating, the only sound the soft beeping of the scanners and the quick, anxious breaths of the crew. The sense of foreboding continues to build. The tension on the bridge thickens like a fog as the Eternal Dawn drifts deeper into the field of enigmatic vessels. The crew is on edge, their eyes flicking nervously from console to console, their senses heightened by the growing sense of something truly extraordinary unfolding. The once steady hum of the ship's systems now seems distant, replaced by a profound silence, a silence that feels almost oppressive. Every beep, every click, seems amplified in the oppressive quiet. The mysterious ships hover motionless, their smooth, sleek hulls glinting ominously in the dim starlight. As if responding to the proximity of the Eternal Dawn, the ships begin to emit low-frequency waves that ripple through the fabric of space itself. The very air on the bridge vibrates with an almost imperceptible hum, a sound that feels both foreign and ancient. The Eternal Dawn trembles slightly as a surge of strange energy pulses outward from the alien vessels, their quantum signatures becoming increasingly clearer, more focused. Lieutenant Maya, with an edge of urgency, Admiral, they are scanning us. They're reading our quantum signatures, Admiral. It's unlike anything we've encountered. They're analyzing our energy matrix, our systems, even our very thoughts, it feels like. The bridge falls silent at her words. Every crew member feels it, an invisible force sifting through their very essence, as if the ships themselves are probing for something hidden deep within the core of the Eternal Dawn. It's as though the very space around them has become charged with an unknown presence, their technology, and even their minds being laid bare before these unknown entities. Admiral Vor stands rigid, his sharp, insectoid features now taut with a deep, instinctual alertness. He slowly exhales, gathering his thoughts, his mind racing as the feeling of being observed and potentially outmatched settles over him. Despite his years of experience, he cannot shake the feeling that this encounter is unlike any other. Admiral Vor, open a channel. His voice is firm, betraying no sign of the underlying unease creeping into his thoughts. He steps forward, his eyes narrowing, his four pupils flicking across the view screen as the massive vessels remain suspended in space like silent, watching predators. The Eternal Dawn continues its slow drift, the ship's engines powering down slightly as a tense stillness fills the air. A low whine fills the bridge as the communications channel opens. For a few moments, nothing happens, just a flicker of static, a faint distortion in the air as the invisible divide between two civilizations begins to dissolve. Then, suddenly, the air shimmers in front of them, and a human figure materializes on the bridge's holographic display. The figure stands tall, her posture unyielding, her gaze steady and calm. She wears a sleek, dark gray uniform, adorned with an insignia that marks her as a high-ranking officer. The uniform is simple yet elegant, the material catching the faint light of the bridge, as if it were designed for both form and function. Her face, framed by short, dark hair, is impassive, yet beneath her composed exterior, there's an undeniable edge of authority. Captain Alina Ray, this is Captain Alina Ray of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. You have entered protected space. Identify yourselves. Her voice rings out clear and strong, the words crisp and precise. There is no sign of fear, no hint of hesitation, only the unmistakable sound of command. Her eyes, deep and unwavering, seem to pierce through the veil of space itself, as though she can see into the heart of the eternal dawn and beyond. Her presence is commanding, and yet there is something almost unsettling about it, something ancient in her calm demeanor that reminds the crew of old myths, tales of humans, the ghost species, the lost civilization that once thrived. For a moment, the entire bridge is frozen. The crew watches in stunned silence as the hologram of Captain Ray stands before them, so real, so human. It is as though the myths they had heard all their lives were now coming to life before their very eyes. The legendary humans, thought to be long extinct, had returned from the darkness of space. Admiral Vor, his voice steady but carrying the weight of disbelief. I'm Admiral Zach Vor of the Galactic Confederation. We detected your signal and came to investigate. His voice crackles slightly as he speaks, the shock of the moment leaving an edge in his tone. He's seen many things in his time as a commander, but never something like this. Never a species that was thought to be lost forever. Never humans, figures of myth, now standing before him, their very existence challenging everything he thought he knew about the universe. A brief pause hangs in the air, thick with unspoken tension. The crew, despite their years of training, can hardly believe what they are witnessing. They had expected to find something unknown, something alien, but not this. Not humans. Captain Alina Ray, with a faint but knowing smile, her eyes narrowing just slightly. You believe us to be a myth, Admiral. But we have been watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal ourselves. Humanity never truly left, we merely waited. Her words are simple but carry a weight that resonates throughout the bridge. The Admiral's four eyes flicker as the full implications of her statement settle in. Humanity gone for centuries, lost to the annals of time, had not vanished. They had merely been watching, preparing, and now, in this strange twist of fate, they were here. The tension on the bridge is palpable, the crew aware that they are standing at the threshold of a moment that will forever alter the course of galactic history. The holographic display flickers once more, and Captain Ray's face hardens slightly, as though anticipating something even greater than this first meeting. The bridge is quiet, save for the soft whir of the ship's systems and the occasional crackle of the communication channel. The very air around the crew feels charged, as though something monumental is about to unfold. The crew's gazes remain locked on the holographic image of Captain Alina Ray, her presence on the bridge so real that it feels as though she is standing in front of them. Despite her calm demeanor, the gravity of her words hangs over them like a looming storm. Captain Ray's eyes flicker for a moment, as if considering the weight of the truth she is about to reveal. She speaks slowly, her voice steady and confident, carrying with it the weight of centuries of secrecy and observation. The faint hum of the ship's engines seems to fade into the background as the crew listens intently, each word ringing with a gravity that sends chills down their spines. Captain Ray, humanity has been watching the Confederation for centuries. We have remained hidden by design, developing technologies far beyond your current systems. Her words feel like a sharp breath of cold air in the stillness, cutting through the tension in the room. There is a sense of disbelief, but also a quiet awe, as if the crew is being told something that challenges everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. The implications of her statement hang in the air, heavy and laden with mystery. Humanity, once thought extinct, reduced to mere myths and bedtime stories, had been watching all along. Not only that, but they had been quietly advancing, building technologies so advanced that the Confederation's finest systems now seemed primitive by comparison. Admiral Vor's 4 eyes flicker in disbelief, the sudden revelation rocking his normally composed demeanor. His antennae twitch, and for a moment, his expression softens, as if trying to make sense of what he is hearing. His voice cuts through the tension, shaking ever so slightly. Admiral Vor, but why stay hidden for so long? The question hangs in the air, echoing across the bridge. It is a question that no one on the crew, from the highest-ranking officers to the youngest cadets, could have anticipated asking. Why would such a powerful species, one with the potential to reshape the balance of the galaxy, remain in the shadows for so long? The question is almost too big to grasp, too full of unknowns. Captain Ray doesn't flinch at the question. Instead, her expression darkens just slightly, her eyes narrowing as she prepares to speak. Her calm demeanor remains, but there is an undeniable weight in her words. Captain Ray, because something is coming, a threat far greater than anything the Confederation or humanity has ever faced. The words hit the crew like a sudden, brutal wave, crashing over them with the force of a distant thunderstorm. A deep, collective breath is taken across the bridge as each crew member processes the gravity of her statement. Humanity, it seems, had known all along. They had been watching not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. They had stayed hidden not because they feared the Confederation, but because they were preparing for something far worse than anything the galaxy has encountered before. There is a shift in the air, a tension that tightens like the moment before an explosion. The crew of the Eternal Dawn can feel it, an invisible pressure in the space around them, as if the walls of the bridge have grown suddenly closer. The Eternal Dawn's sensors flicker, picking up subtle distortions in space-time, as though the fabric of reality itself is beginning to stretch, preparing to snap. The holographic display flickers as Captain Ray's image shifts slightly, her eyes still locked on the Admiral. Her expression is grim, yet resolute. There is no hesitation in her gaze, no doubt in her voice. It is clear that she knows something the crew of the Eternal Dawn cannot yet comprehend. Captain Ray, we call them the Void Dominion. The words carry a heavy weight, as if they are an ancient curse, a name spoken in hushed tones for centuries. There is something deeply unsettling about the name itself, a darkness that seems to emanate from the very syllables. The crew can sense the dread that follows those words. The Void Dominion. A threat so terrible that humanity, despite all their advanced technology and hidden strength, has remained in the shadows. Commander Bra, his voice a low rumble, as if testing the weight of the words, and what exactly are they? Captain Ray takes a deep breath, her gaze flickering slightly as she gathers her thoughts, a fleeting moment of vulnerability in her otherwise composed demeanor. Captain Ray, they are unlike anything you've encountered. They exist partially outside normal space-time. They do not conquer, they consume. Entire star systems, planets, civilizations absorbed, destroyed. Their purpose is not domination, but annihilation. They are a force of nature, and they are coming. The revelation lingers in the air, the very fabric of space around them seeming to quiver with the weight of it. The Eternal Dawn crew, frozen in stunned silence, can feel the fear creeping into their bones. The technology and defenses that have kept the Confederation safe for centuries may be powerless against this new threat. Humanity, hidden for so long, now stands before them, offering not just knowledge, but a warning that the galaxy itself may soon face its greatest test. The Council of Species, who have been listening from afar, are now reeling. The communication channel hums with sudden bursts of static as leaders from across the galaxy begin to react. Their faces, once filled with curiosity, now betray fear, uncertainty, and, for the first time in centuries, a shared sense of vulnerability. The threat of the Void Dominion is unlike anything the galaxy has faced, and with it comes the understanding that the balance of power is shifting. The Confederation, once confident in its strength, now finds itself on the brink of something far darker. The air in the bridge thickens with the weight of Captain Ray's words. The bridge, which moments ago had been filled with the hum of technology and the soft bustle of crew members, now holds a suffocating stillness. Every officer, every crew member, feels the gravity of what is being said, as if the walls of the Eternal Dawn are closing in around them. The revelation of the Void Dominion, a force so terrifying that it seems to defy all logic, pulses like an ominous cloud above them. Captain Ray stands firm, her expression unwavering as she delivers the truth, though the faintest flicker of sorrow, perhaps even regret, dances in her eyes. Her voice, while steady, carries the burden of centuries of watching, waiting, and preparing for a battle that would define the future of every living being in the galaxy. Captain Ray, we call them the Void Dominion. They exist partially outside normal space-time. They don't conquer, they consume stars, planets, living beings. Her words are met with stunned silence. The concept of a civilization that doesn't conquer, but devours everything in its path, is almost too fantastical to grasp. To consume a cold, merciless act that strips the very essence from entire worlds, leaving only emptiness in its wake. Captain Ray's tone is grave, her every word imbued with a quiet urgency, as if she is speaking not just to the crew of the Eternal Dawn, but to the galaxy itself. The crew members glance at one another, their faces betraying their disbelief, their minds struggling to process what they've just heard. The Three Admiral Vor, usually unshakable and composed, remains eerily still. His four eyes narrow, focusing intently on the human officer before him. The sheer horror of her words fills him with a sensation that is foreign to him, fear. Admiral Vor, his voice low, laced with skepticism, and you want us to believe that? His question hangs in the air, punctuated by the soft hum of the ship's systems and the subtle shifting of energy around them. The idea of such a force, something beyond the reach of logic or science, seems almost impossible to comprehend. For a moment, the room holds its collective breath. The tension is palpable, and even the stars outside the viewport seem to pulse with a strange, unearthly energy, as if reacting to the conversation unfolding inside. Captain Ray doesn't flinch. Her gaze remains steady, her resolve unwavering. It is clear that she has come to terms with the terrible truth, and she knows that this is no time for hesitation or doubt. Captain Ray, we've tracked their approach for decades. We need to unite, or both our civilizations will fall. The words strike with the force of a hammer. The finality of her statement hangs heavy in the room, as if the very future of the galaxy has been laid bare. For a species as ancient as the Three, as powerful as the Confederation, to admit the need for help is unheard of. This is not merely a request, it is a desperate plea, an acknowledgement that even their combined strength may not be enough to face this unimaginable threat. The room falls into a tense silence. The weight of her words settles over the leaders of the Confederation, each one now faced with a decision that could alter the course of history. The Council of Species, once content in their relative peace and isolation, now finds itself forced to confront the truth: they are not invincible. They are not alone in the universe, and the universe is about to throw a challenge at them that will test everything they have built. The leaders sit motionless, their faces obscured by their alien features. The Three, with their crystalline exoskeletons, their scales reflecting the flickering light of the bridge, the Aquarians, their translucent skin glowing faintly under the soft light, their eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and caution, the French world's species, with their complex multi-limbed structures, watching in eerie silence. All of them, for the first time in centuries, are faced with a threat that even their combined power cannot guarantee victory against. The atmosphere in the room seems to distort, the silence stretching longer and longer, as the representatives process the magnitude of Captain Ray's revelation. Some seem ready to speak, but no one dares to break the quiet. In the face of such an overwhelming force, all of them, no matter their species, no matter their power, are humbled. Admiral Vor, his four eyes flicking across the faces of his colleagues, finally speaks again, his voice tinged with the realization that the galaxy's fragile peace may now be in jeopardy. Admiral Vor, an alliance with humanity. Captain Ray nods solemnly, acknowledging the challenge of her proposal. Humanity, once thought to be nothing more than a legend, a forgotten species, now stands at the precipice of a galactic war. Their strength, their technology, though far superior to anything the Confederation possesses, would need the resources of the galaxy's many species if they are to survive. Captain Ray, we have advanced far beyond your current technology. But it is not enough. Alone, we would fall. We have built our ships, our weapons, our defenses, but we are outnumbered. And we cannot face the Void Dominion without the strength of all of us combined. Her words carry the weight of every hard-fought battle, every sacrifice made in the name of survival. The Eternal Dawn crew knows it is only a matter of time before the Void Dominion's full force arrives. There is no time left for hesitation, no time for second guesses. Captain Ray, humanity has already stood alone for far too long. Now, we ask you to stand with us. Together, we may have a chance. Her gaze meets that of Admiral Vor, her eyes steady, holding a silent promise. She is offering not just an alliance, but a lifeline. The fate of the galaxy hinges on this one moment of decision. A neutral space station, distant from the ever-expanding borders of the Galactic Confederation, floats in the void, a carefully constructed hub where diplomacy and delicate negotiations have taken place for centuries. Its structure is a masterpiece of alien engineering, with towering, crystalline spires that shimmer in the light of nearby stars. The station seems to pulse with an ethereal energy, as though it were alive, its intricate surface constantly shifting in response to the ebb and flow of cosmic forces around it. The station's hallways are quiet but for the soft hum of its advanced systems, the walls lined with ornate carvings and holographic displays that narrate the history of the many species that have come together in this place. The atmosphere is both welcoming and cold, a neutral zone between the ancient alliances and the unknown. This is a place where history is made, where decisions that shape the future of entire civilizations are debated in hushed voices. Inside the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from all 27 member species of the Confederation gather, each occupying their designated seat around a massive, circular table. The diversity of forms is striking. Some delegates have crystalline bodies, others appear as gaseous clouds suspended in magnetic fields, while some are humanoid, though their features vary wildly from one another. The room is alive with the silent murmurs of those present, their thoughts as complex and varied as the species they represent. But beneath the surface of their composed exteriors, there is a palpable unease. The humans, led by Captain Ray, stand at the far side of the room, their simple but sharply designed uniforms contrasting with the organic and futuristic designs of the other species. The human delegation exudes a quiet confidence, but even they feel the weight of history pressing down on them. They are, after all, the ghost species, a myth made flesh, an anomaly in the fabric of galactic politics. Captain Ray steps forward, her presence commanding attention. She has the full weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. Her words will decide whether humanity is accepted or rejected, whether they can fulfill their ancient promise to the galaxy or if they will remain outsiders. Captain Ray, we had to be strong enough to contribute to the galaxy's defense. We made a promise to return, and now, we fulfill it. Her voice carries with it the weight of centuries of isolation, a quiet but firm declaration. She looks around the room, meeting the eyes of each delegate. Some gaze back with curiosity, others with suspicion, but none with complete trust. Humanity is not simply a missing piece of the galactic puzzle, it is a piece that has been absent for too long, and its return is both a blessing and a threat to the existing balance. The chamber grows silent as she finishes speaking, her words lingering in the air. The other delegates shift uneasily, their glances flicking toward each other. The Confederation, for all its collective power, is unprepared for this revelation. The galaxy's history has been built on cooperation, but humanity's absence has left a void. Now, that void is filled, but with what? A species that has survived on its own for so long, with technologies far surpassing even their most advanced allies. It's a powerful ally, yes, but also a potentially destabilizing one. Commander Bra, the hulking figure of the Thray species, his metallic exoskeleton gleaming under the soft light, breaks the silence with a deep rumble that reverberates through the room. His voice is low, measured, but carries an edge of distrust. Commander Bra, why reveal yourselves after centuries of isolation? The question is blunt, but it reflects the skepticism that runs through the hearts of many in the room. The Confederation had long believed that humanity had vanished, wiped from existence by their own hubris. And now, after so long, they return, offering a solution to a problem that is both terrifying and unfamiliar. Captain Ray stands tall, her face impassive as she listens to the question. She takes a steady breath, her eyes briefly flicking to the holographic display of the galaxy's sectors, where maps and star systems flicker in real time. The enormity of the task ahead is reflected in the vastness of the galaxy, stretching out before them like a great unknown. Captain Ray, because we had to. For centuries, we kept to the shadows, building what we could, ensuring that we could one day return and offer our strength when it was most needed. The Void Dominion is coming, and their power will consume everything in its path. We cannot face them alone. Her voice does not waver. Her words are a call to action, a plea for unity. The entire room seems to draw in a collective breath, as if bracing for the inevitable. For the first time in a long while, the Confederation finds itself facing an enemy so powerful that it cannot stand alone. The silent threat of the Void Dominion looms over them, casting a shadow over the chamber. The debates that follow are filled with skepticism, fear, and uncertainty. Some question the validity of humanity's claims, wondering if they are simply seeking to assert control. Others argue that humanity's return is nothing but a prelude to domination. But slowly, the voices of dissent begin to quiet as the evidence mounts. Humanity has survived, and its technology, its knowledge, is real. The Void Dominion is not a threat that can be ignored. Admiral Vor, standing at the center of the table, his four eyes focused intently on the assembly, speaks with the authority of a leader who has faced countless challenges in his long career. His voice is calm, but his words carry the weight of urgency. Admiral Vor, we cannot face them alone. An alliance is our only chance. The room falls into a deep silence once again, the gravity of his statement sinking in. This is no longer a matter of political maneuvering or diplomatic games. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The Confederation cannot afford to ignore the threat of the Void Dominion any longer. An alliance is their only hope. The holographic displays flicker briefly, projecting maps and military strategies. Plans are being drawn up. Delegates from all corners of the galaxy, from the crystalline Vexers to the gaseous Aquarians, begin to speak in hushed tones, their voices low but filled with determination. The decision to unite is not easy, it never is. But there is no other choice. The camera pans across the room, capturing the quiet nods of acceptance from some species, the uncertain glances exchanged by others. As the discussions continue, the realization settles in, the galaxy will change, whether they are ready or not. The Void Dominion approaches, and it is up to this fragile alliance to stand against the coming darkness. The vast, open expanse of space outside the eternal dawn and the horizon is filled with the rhythmic movement of ships, their massive hulls cutting through the inky void like creatures gliding through deep, silent waters. The two ships, once strangers from two different worlds, now move side by side, their forms sleek and imposing. The eternal dawn's smooth, angular shape contrasts with the more streamlined, yet militarily efficient design of the horizon, but despite their differences, the two ships seem perfectly synchronized in their movements, like dancers performing an intricate, synchronized routine. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, the crew is busy at their stations, the soft hum of the ship's systems providing a constant backdrop to the focused activity. Every officer's eyes are locked on their consoles, their fingers dancing over touchpads and holographic displays, while the glowing projections of the horizon appear on the monitor. The two ships are engaged in a series of military maneuvers, a test of coordination and tactics between humanity and the Galactic Confederation, a crucial step in preparing for the coming threat of the Void Dominion. The space around them is eerily still. In this quiet corner of the galaxy, the only sounds are those of the ships themselves, the soft clicks of buttons, the hum of engines, and the occasional, low-frequency pulses that indicate the ship's defensive systems engaging in their simulated battles. The vastness of space is contrasted sharply with the small yet significant movements of the two ships, each one calculated, every turn and shift designed to test the limits of their combined forces. Admiral Vor stands at the command center of the Eternal Dawn, his sharp, four-eyed gaze flicking between the displays. His stern face shows no sign of emotion, but there is a note of quiet respect in his gaze as he watches the human crew operate with an efficiency that matches the best of the Confederation's own forces. The sound of his deep, rumbling voice breaks the stillness as he speaks to Captain Ray, who stands beside him, her arms folded, observing the maneuvers with a quiet intensity. Admiral Vor, your crews operate with remarkable precision. The compliment is given without hesitation, a rare praise from an admiral who has seen the best and worst of military engagements. His eyes flicker towards the horizon's movements on the display, a well-executed turn, followed by a sudden acceleration, each ship responding to the other's movements in perfect harmony. Captain Ray smiles slightly, her expression both calm and knowing, but there's something in her gaze, an awareness of the hardships her people have faced in isolation, of the battles fought alone in the dark void of space. She turns to the Admiral, her voice steady, yet carrying a depth of experience that only centuries of survival could instill. Captain Ray, necessity breeds competence, Admiral. We've had no allies for centuries, so we had to become self-sufficient. Her words resonate in the silence that follows, carrying a weight that is felt in the air itself. The humans have been isolated for so long, forced to survive on their own, crafting technologies and strategies that could stand up to any enemy. Now, they are offering those very skills to the Confederation, with the hope that this collaboration will be enough to face the threat that looms. On the holographic display, the Eternal Dawn and Horizon engage in another maneuver, this time a complex series of evasive actions, where the ships dart and twist in a choreographed dance, avoiding simulated enemy fire. The coordination between the two crews is flawless, the technology of humanity blending seamlessly with the systems of the Confederation. The two ships work together with a precision that would be impossible with any other force. There is an unspoken understanding between them, a shared goal, a shared desperation. As the drills continue, a slight shift in the air on the bridge is felt, a subtle change in the atmosphere. It's almost imperceptible at first, but the tension in the crew grows. They know it. The Eternal Dawn's crew, the Horizon's crew, all of them feel the subtle undercurrent of unease. Suddenly, the calm is shattered as the communication officer, a young officer with pale skin and sharp features, breaks into the Admiral's thoughts with an urgent tone. Communications officer, Admiral, we're receiving a report from the sensor array. Spatial distortions have been detected at the edge of our sensor range. They are moving toward us, and they're growing stronger. The words land like a physical blow. The crew stirs, a wave of tension sweeping through the bridge. The light from the screens flickers for a moment, as though even the technology feels the disturbance. A low hum fills the air, vibrating through the walls, and the normally steady pulse of the ship's engines seems to grow more erratic. The calm, calculated movements of the exercise fall away, replaced by the unmistakable sense of danger. The Void Dominion is not just a distant threat anymore, they are close. Admiral Vor turns sharply toward the communications officer, his four eyes narrowing with cold focus as he processes the information. The calm, authoritative presence that had defined him during the exercises shifts. His voice is clipped, but there is no mistaking the underlying urgency now. Admiral Vor, how close? How long until we are within range? The officer hesitates for only a moment, his hands flying over the controls as he analyzes the incoming data. The silence on the bridge stretches long enough to become unbearable, every crew member holding their breath. Communications officer, 5 minutes. At current speed, they will be within sensor range in 5 minutes. The distortions are unlike anything we've seen before, Admiral. They're shifting, moving in and out of space-time. It's as if they're not entirely real. The officer's voice falters for a moment, but then steadies. There is no mistaking the terror in the room now, even if it is only faintly perceived. The Void Dominion's power is unlike anything the Confederation has ever faced, a force that warps reality itself. Captain Ray's face tightens, the calm she's displayed up until now shifting into a hard determination. She turns to Admiral Vor, her voice resolute. Captain Ray, the time for exercises is over, Admiral. The real battle begins now. Her words hang heavy in the air, underscoring the gravity of what is about to unfold. The crews of both ships brace themselves for the imminent threat, knowing that whatever happens next will determine the fate of not just the Eternal Dawn and Horizon, but the galaxy itself. The eerie calm of space is shattered as the first wave of the Void Dominion invades. The silence, which had once seemed so eternal and unchanging, is replaced with the roar of energy surges and the chaotic hum of distant weapons. The vastness of space becomes a battleground, a place where reality itself seems to bend and break under the strain of the conflict. The Eternal Dawn and the Horizon, now positioned side by side, prepare for the confrontation that has been foretold. The two ships, once symbols of peace and exploration, now stand as the last line of defense against an enemy that defies every known law of physics. The fleet's combined firepower, human and Confederation weapons working in harmony, pulses with raw, unrelenting energy, but it feels almost like a mere whisper against the backdrop of the Void Dominion's approach. The first signs of the invasion appear as distortions in the fabric of space itself. Ships that flicker in and out of existence, shapes that seem to bleed in and out of the material world, their edges shimmering and warping like the ripples of a dream. As they materialize fully, their forms become clearer, massive, dark, and shifting. Their hulls absorb light rather than reflect it, creating an unsettling sense of void where there should be substance. These ships are not merely physical, They seem to pulse with something deeper, something that exists outside the laws of the universe as the Confederation understands them. The ships of the Void Dominion appear in waves vast, incomprehensible numbers, like shadows pouring out from an abyss. Each vessel is a monolithic presence, flickering between realities as if they are not fully anchored in space-time. Their shapes are alien and grotesque, part solid, part ephemeral. The fabric of space warps around them, causing the very stars in the background to distort into strange, elongated shapes, as if the universe itself is struggling to contain them. Admiral Vor stands tall at the helm of the Eternal Dawn, his eyes flickering rapidly between multiple displays, his mind processing the rapidly shifting battlefield. The stark, cold lines of the Confederation vessel contrast sharply with the malevolent, otherworldly ships of the Void Dominion that loom ahead. He stands unmoving, the weight of command pressing on him, as he watches the advance of the enemy. His jaw tightens as he knows the true extent of the threat. The Void Dominion cannot be reasoned with, it cannot be bargained with. It consumes, indiscriminately. Captain Ray, standing beside him on the bridge, her eyes hard and focused, surveys the enemy vessels with a calculated intensity. Her crew, human and alien alike, are at their stations, moving with the grace of a well-oiled machine, their every action purposeful and sharp. There is no hesitation in her movements, no fear in her voice, only the cold, clear knowledge that the survival of the galaxy hangs on the decisions made in the next few moments. Captain Ray, target the command vessel. Full weapons discharge on my mark. Her voice cuts through the tension like a blade, her command simple and decisive. The ship's weapons systems come to life with an audible hum, the ship's pulse vibrating beneath their feet as it prepares to unleash its full power. The crew is ready, the weapons are primed, and the energy readings rise on the screens, warning them of the destructive force building within the heart of the horizon. The enemy ships, with their unsettling forms and incomprehensible design, surge forward. The first wave of the Void Dominion's fleet is upon them in an instant. The Eternal Dawn and Horizon fire in unison, their weapons discharging with a blinding flare of energy. Bolts of concentrated, hypercharged plasma and directed energy beams rip through the blackness, crashing into the hulls of the Void Dominion ships. The impact is catastrophic. The Void ships tremble for a fraction of a second as the blasts collide with their surfaces. The air around the ships shimmers and distorts violently. A thunderous roar echoes through the space, though in the vacuum of space, no sound is truly heard. The weapon's fire sends shockwaves through the horizon and the Eternal Dawn, vibrating their hulls, but the human-designed weapons designed specifically to deal with enemies that defy the very nature of physics prove effective. The Void Dominion ships falter, their once imposing forms cracking and fracturing under the intense barrage. Admiral Vor, direct hit. The Dominion ships are destabilizing. The Eternal Dawn's weapons continue to fire, the ship's guns blindingly powerful as they rip through the fabric of space-time, tearing into the enemy ships with unrelenting fury. The Horizon follows suit, its energy weaponry cutting through the distorted forms of the Void Dominion's vessels with surgical precision. The combined firepower of the two ships, joined by the human fleet, turns the tide. For the first time, the Void Dominion's advance is slowed. The once seemingly impenetrable fleet of the Void Dominion begins to shudder, their forms distorting more violently with each strike. The power of the Confederation and humanity working together causes the warping energies around the enemy ships to destabilize, as if the energy shields that once held them in their distorted state can no longer contain the force being unleashed upon them. Captain Ray, keep the pressure on them. Do not let up. Her command is clear, and the battle intensifies. Beams of energy continue to rip across space, tearing into the dark forms of the Dominion ships. For every Void Dominion ship that flickers out of existence, two more take its place. But now, the balance has shifted. The energy signatures of the Dominion ships begin to falter, their systems overloaded and unstable. For every ship that falls, there is a brief, almost poetic moment of silence, where the void is momentarily unmarked by their presence, before the next wave of ships fills the void, flickering in and out of existence like predatory shadows. It is clear now this battle is not simply about victory. It is about survival, about holding the line against an enemy that will not stop until everything is consumed. Admiral Vor, we will stand united. The words, spoken with quiet conviction, echo across the bridge, resonating through every officer, every soldier, every crew member. The battle is far from won, but now, for the first time, the tide has turned in favor of the defenders. The collaboration between humanity and the Confederation has begun to yield results, as their combined might rips through the heart of the Void Dominion's forces. The battle rages on, the light of distant stars twisting under the strain of the conflict. The ships of the Void Dominion flicker, distort, and collapse, but they do not retreat. The fight is far from over, and the true scale of this war has only just begun. The void of space is still, but the echoes of battle linger. The air inside the Eternal Dawn feels heavy with the weight of loss. The bridge crew remains silent, their faces drawn and tired, each one processing the consequences of the conflict they've just survived. The hum of the ship's systems seems softer now, almost as if it too is mourning the price that was paid. The screens flicker, showing the remains of the battlefield. Vast sections of the Void Dominion fleet have been obliterated, but there are still smoldering fragments of enemy ships drifting through the expanse like broken shards of a nightmare. The Eternal Dawn and the Horizon, along with the Allied fleet, float together, their once pristine surfaces now marred by the scars of battle. Energy shields flicker weakly in places, and the once glowing hulls are tarnished, their surfaces scarred by the intense barrage of energy that had been exchanged. The remains of the Dominion ships twisted and half-materialized, some still flickering out of phase, drift aimlessly, their dark shapes like shadows slowly fading from the light. The signs of victory are evident, but they are also grim. The camera zooms out to reveal the full extent of the carnage. The space around the unified fleet is dotted with debris, a grim reminder of the cost of the battle. Thousands of lives, both human and alien, have been lost in this desperate struggle. Entire fleets of Confederation ships have been wiped out, their hulks floating lifelessly in space. Yet despite the staggering losses, there is an unmistakable sense of relief. The Void Dominion's relentless advance has been stopped. For now. High Chancellor Horus stands before the Council, his crystalline form dimmed with exhaustion. His once glowing features are now dull, the weight of the aftermath weighing heavily on him. The Council chamber is filled with representatives from every species, their faces a mix of awe, admiration, and grief. The voices of the Confederation's leaders have fallen into a quiet murmur, but one voice rises above them all, the voice of Horus, the leader of their united front. High Chancellor Horus, for centuries, we thought humanity was a missed opportunity. A species lost to time. Today, we recognize them as equals. The words ring out across the chamber, reverberating in the minds of everyone present. The realization settles in: humanity, once thought to be nothing more than a myth, a forgotten race, is now an irreplaceable ally in the fight for the galaxy's survival. Horus' voice, usually calm and collected, now carries a new weight, a tone of respect earned through fire and sacrifice. Across the room, Admiral Vor stands, his eyes reflecting the same quiet intensity that has guided him through countless battles. His four eyes scan the room, his thoughts clearly focused. He turns to Captain Ray, standing beside him, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the galaxy, the bright, pulsing light of stars in the distance. The silence between them is profound, filled with the shared weight of victory and loss. Admiral Vor, you were never forgotten. You were preparing, waiting for the right moment. His words are soft but heavy, acknowledging what Captain Ray and her people have endured in isolation. Humanity had been lost to the galaxy for centuries, yet they had never truly been gone. They had been waiting for the right time to return and fulfill their promise. Now, standing at the precipice of a new beginning, they had proven themselves not only as survivors but as protectors, allies who had fought alongside the Confederation in a battle that would define the future of the galaxy. Captain Ray's gaze does not falter. There is no pride in her eyes, only quiet determination. Her lips part slightly as she responds, her voice calm but firm. Captain Ray, we did what was necessary. We didn't do it for recognition. We did it because it was the only choice we had left. Her words hang in the air, as if the weight of the galaxy itself presses against her shoulders. Despite the admiration she now commands, Captain Ray remains focused on the future, not on the accolades. The work has only just begun. The camera zooms out to show the United Fleet, Eternal Dawn, Horizon, and their combined forces of Confederation and human vessels. The ships now sail side by side, their once separate paths converging into a single purpose. The fractured galaxy, torn apart by ancient conflicts and old wounds, now stands united against a common enemy. The ships of the Confederation gleam beside the human vessels, their forms a mixture of sleek, high-tech precision and the older, more resilient designs of humanity. The two forces are different, yet they have found strength in each other's differences, forging a bond through the fire of battle. In the distance, the stars begin to shine even brighter, their light pushing through the debris and darkness. The galaxy, though scarred, seems to pulse with new life and uncertain hope that the worst is behind them. The threat of the Void Dominion has been staved off, but the question lingers, what comes next? The battle may be over, but the war is far from finished. They are united now, but for how long? Admiral Vor, we will stand united. His words resonate throughout the bridge, his voice carrying the full weight of the promise. The battle has been won, but the true test is just beginning. Together, humanity and the Confederation will rebuild, forging a new era. An era where the galaxy is no longer divided by old prejudices and ancient grudges, but united against the darkness that looms on the horizon. The camera pulls back further, showing the united fleet sailing through the stars, the light from distant galaxies illuminating their path forward. The galaxy is vast, and the void is still there, but now, it is filled with something new, hope. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. If you enjoyed this thrilling space adventure, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi Love and War Story so you don't miss any future exciting tales. Leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. We love hearing from you. See you in the next epic story.